Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to Live at the Waterhole, where first up we're coming to you live from the Africam Old Donyo Lodge in Kenya. My name is Ralph Kirsten, and as per usual, I wonder what the bush holds in store for us and what animals are going to be coming down to drink. We'll sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. As per usual, please don't forget that this is a live and interactive experience, so we'd love for you to jump on board with us and send us through your questions and your comments. And you can do that by going on the WildEarth website and registering. Now, remember that this is located on 111,000 hectares of private land in the heart of the Chulu Hills between Kenya's Tsavo and Amboseli National Parks. And it is one of our busier waterholes, so we do spend quite a considerable amount of time here. And why wouldn't you? Look at these animals. This is the Maasai giraffe, and we have some eland there with quite a few zebra waiting in the wings. Yesterday we had an elephant bull that spent a lot of time here drinking and washing. He was spraying water all over himself, so what a wonderful experience that was. We also did have a lot of Maasai giraffes that were drinking as well, and I was discussing the theory that I have around why giraffes have the flick after they drink, which you'll probably witness now after this giraffe is finished with its drink, and then it will do the little flick, and then it does the nose pick, which I'm thinking is all down to water that maybe runs into its nose. But that's just a theory I have. What do you think? So it looks like it's a little bit overcast here in Kenya, but that generally doesn't take away from the heat that normally comes through, even on a nice winter's day. But having said that, I think let's go and have a look what the weather's going to be like across all the different locations. So it seems like a rather beautiful winter's day across most of the locations. Hottest here in Old Donyo, as you would expect, being very close to the equator. The hotter it is, the more chance we have of more animals coming down for a drink. And as we head into this time of spring that's on our doorstep, we can also expect a lot more birds to be showing themselves, the migratory birds all returning to all the locations, as well as them going into breeding plumage with the advent of spring, bringing about a burst of color, normally brings rain as well. And so the nest building and breeding functions have all gotten underway. How's it back to you, leopard lover? Nice to have you on board with us once again, and looking forward to what the animals are going to be coming down at the different locations. Always exciting. We never know what's going to happen next. We have had a few birds of prey coming down here to drink as well and have a little bit of a bath. We had a gymnogene, or the African harrier hawk, as well as an African hawk eagle here at Old Donyo as well. Now, there are numerous predators present here in this particular area. We don't generally see them on the Waterhole show because of the time of day that we are broadcasting, but we never do know when one is going to show itself. We don't see any fringe-eared oryx just yet, but I'm pretty sure that as the morning goes on, there will be some coming through, and then we'll be able to see the difference between them and the South African or the common oryx that we'll get at Okukuyu in the Etosha National Park of Namibia. Dottie, nice to have you on board with us and all the way from the US of A. Welcome aboard. It's lovely to have you with us. The mandatory flick is still present in amongst these giraffe, and it doesn't seem to matter whether it's a Maasai giraffe or a southern giraffe. They have very similar behavior. These giraffe keep looking in the direction of the camera, almost like they do understand that there's something strange there. Maybe it does make a little bit of a noise when it moves, and well, obviously movement would also attract their attention. Not that we've been moving the camera around very much, but they keep on looking almost straight down the barrel of the lens, which makes me think that they are curious as to what this camera is. Yesterday was the first time as well. It was clear enough for us to see Mount Kilimanjaro off in the background, but it's a little bit too cloudy today. Maybe it will clear as the morning progresses. Lots of birds coming in as well. Mostly, I think, are ring-necked doves with their very typical whistling sound when they are in flight, especially coming into land and taking off. You can tell that it's a dove just by that whistle that they make when they fly. Wow, so it seems like we've got quite an international audience this morning. And we've got Chris Grobler from Rwanda. Nice to have you on board with us.
Get ready for your daily dose of African wildlife magic. Be enchanted by the intimate moments shared by the animals as they drink, play, and interact in their natural habitat. With our daily wildlife videos, you'll experience the thrill of safari adventures without ever having to leave your seat. Let the wild adventure unfold right before your eyes. Africam, always live, always wild.
So, as always, we'll keep jumping around to the different waterholes wherever the action steers us. And a lovely start here at Africam Old Donyo, but there's a little bit of activity back in South Africa at Djuma. And once again, just like yesterday, we had a nice small breeding herd of elephants that were down just about the same time as this group has arrived. So it's always nice when the elephants are down early. Generally, they come down in their numbers closer to midday when it gets very hot. So it's always welcoming when they come a little bit earlier. And with us going into spring and the general average temperatures are going to be increasing daily, we'll see more swimming and enjoying of the water from the elephants. Whereas up till now, it's been rather cold in the winter months. So it's just been down to drinking mainly, with not too much splashing about and having fun. So that's another thing to look forward to as we head into spring. You can see that elephant on the right, a little bit pensive, and with that bent foot in the front, it's rather a thinking pose. So we have a number of cameras, the AfriCam included, around the Greater Kruger National Park. It's probably the biggest concentration of the different cameras that we have, but all in different parts of the Greater Kruger, and this being in the Sabi Sands, and the first of the WildEarth dam cameras. Nice little youngster there, looks to be probably between 2 and 3 years old. It's not a new calf, so looks like it's doing pretty well. But the signal seems to be given that it's time to move off. We might see a couple of stragglers, but in general I think they're going to slowly start disappearing off into the thickets. I haven't seen any sign yet of our resident bull hippo, which has been named Dewey affectionately. And there was a nice big family of them, with quite a few cows and calves with him, but I don't see any of them for now. They may have gone off to Buffelshoek Dam or any number of other water holes. Maybe they decided to stick about an area where they went to feed last night. So a young bull there that was just leaning on one of its siblings and not quite ready to leave the herd just yet. But in the next couple of years, I would imagine that it would be pushed out as he starts to become a bit too boisterous, particularly around the newer calves. And the females will push him out, and he'll start to move on his own, and generally then following in behind a bigger bull. Now, he learns lots of life lessons with that bull, but needs to be respectful of that big bull, otherwise he could get himself into a fight with him, particularly when they come into must. Now, Melissa, you love the little one's attitude. I always love attitude of little or young elephants. It's always interesting to watch, and normally quite humorous as well, their antics. You normally see them charging different animals like guinea fowl and impala and testing all their skills. Always a joy.
Those sounds just go straight through you.
Looks like a little bit more dust bathing is in order. Righty, so now that the elephants have disappeared into the brush, not having much a clear view on them anymore, I think we'll change of place with all the different locations we have. So nice to go to somewhere else. And this time, I think let's go just outside of Kimberley and Comfortsdam. Where, as per usual, we've got our lesser and greater flamingos, who will be increasing in numbers as they head into the breeding season. So September, October, we can expect, most importantly, the lesser flamingos could get up to around 50,000 or so. So exciting times ahead. Also look on the fringes or next to the shore, where you might see some pied avocets foraging. There's a few little grebes in the middle here as well. And remember that flamingos are all filter feeders and they feed with their head upside down. But their bill snaps open and closed, and in so doing, filter out the little invertebrates, the shrimps, and the algae that they're after. I think we already have an increase in numbers here. It does seem like they have increased since we've started showing this Africam waterhole. I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly how many flamingos are here, but it does definitely seem like the concentrations have increased. So there's been quite a few questions around the flamingos standing on one leg, and it seems like it does help them with their energy efficiency. It takes less energy to stand on one leg. And the other thing is that the water, probably, especially in winter, is rather cold. So exposing only one leg to the water does assist in their temperature regulation or thermoregulation. So it makes sense to stand on one leg. And we see quite a bit of wind coming across the water, obviously lots of ripples, little waves as well. But I would imagine that it does probably assist the flamingos for their foraging, for the water to be a little bit turbulent and kicking up all those microorganisms that they feed on. So NJX, you're absolutely correct. Flamingos should be pink. You can see a little bit of a hue of it. The lesser flamingos show quite a bit more pink, but keep a close eye because the real pink is under their wings. There's one that's just exposed it a little bit to the left of your screen, but keep watching because you will see lots more pink. It's just hidden under their wings. And so they need to expose it to show it. There one flew across the screen and you saw lots of pink there. So have a close look just towards the back of their wings when they're tucked in. You can see the pink exposed. But as soon as they flare those wings, then you'll see where the real pink is hiding. And there's a pair of South African shell ducks as well. Just joining in with this group of flamingos. With the South African shell ducks, the male has a grey head and the female has a white head. And there's a pied avocet as well, feeding just on the left with their up-curled bill. And we have noticed that the flamingos take quite a bit of time to get going in the morning. It seems they are late risers. But as the morning progresses, there's more and more of them that start foraging and filter feeding. But for now, it seems like the majority still haven't woken up. Righty, so fantastic to see that the numbers have already started increasing here at Kamfersdam, just outside of Kimberley, and we hope to see lots and lots more start to arrive. Anyway, let's let the flamingos wake up a little bit more, particularly the lesser flamingos, who seem to be the late risers in particular. And while they wake up, let's head on over to the Madikwe Game Reserve in the northwest province of South Africa, right on the border of Botswana and Jamala. Where the luck seems to be continuing with the elephants. Fantastic. We've got them here early as well. Normally coming in after 11 o'clock or so, but we've got the early drinkers and they're here already. Alrighty, so just a little bit of technical difficulties there at Jamala. Sometimes happens, so apologies for that. That's just one of the little issues that we do have with remote cameras, but we're always working on making it better. Anyway, back we've gone to Old Donyo in Kenya, where it seems like the zebra now are stealing the show. When the zebra come in numbers like this, doesn't matter if there's elephants or giraffe here, they dominate this waterhole. And it's fascinating to see even the elephants backing away when they come in their numbers. Interesting to note that if you look closely on these zebra, they almost have a stripe pattern like a mountain zebra. But I just think that it's a genetic, for the genetics of the particular populations here in Kenya, slightly different colorations, but they are the exact same species as all the zebra that we'll see across all the different dam cams. But just with these individuals, you can hardly see that shadow stripe. It is there, but it's very faint. And remembering that the mountain zebra species, they don't have that shadow stripe, but the real giveaway would be if the stripes didn't meet on the belly, which you're seeing here. So they don't have a pure white belly like the mountain zebra, and they also don't have dew laps that the mountain zebra have. The mountain zebra also being slightly smaller and having longer ears. Wow, so these zebra have even pushed that giraffe off. It doesn't really have much space to drink now anymore. There can be a lot of jostling and kicking and biting because this will be multiple harems that are coming together at this common resource that they all need to get, being the water. And so you often see conflict around waterholes, particularly when you have groups that would not normally mingle, and they're doing so now here at the waterhole. So will be the males causing all the nonsense, with good reason though.
Do you love relaxing at a waterhole with the sights and sounds of Africa all around you? Well, we have some really exciting news for you. From August 1st, Africam is joining forces with WildEarth to bring the majesty of Africa right into your living room with 9 incredible new waterhole cameras from across South Africa and Kenya. Get ready to embark on a new journey. This is Live at the Waterhole.
Wow, that is a lot of stripes. What do you think? So this is a wonderful sighting, but I think to be fair, we do need to go and try once again at Jamala. Hopefully this time the technical difficulties play ball. The elephants haven't gone anywhere, and so they've hung around long enough for us to get them on the screen. Wonderful. Now, when I saw, oopsie, we obviously need to go back to Old Donyo. Shame. Sorry about that, folks. Apologies. But, well, at least we've got a good backup plan with all these zebra here. Wow, so this is incredible. And just with the numbers increasing like this, you can understand why when the zebra do group and bunch and join up in their masses like this, why the animals do give them a wide berth. There's just so many of them. And in the Mara Triangle, when they do migrate and move up into that area, then together with the wildebeest and gazelle, there's just so many of them that the elephants actually leave the area entirely and head up onto the Olololo escarpment. And once the migration moves away again, then the elephants return into the Mara Triangle. But just because of the sheer numbers, I think the animals give them a wide berth. But at that time, the lion prides that are present there throughout the year benefit hugely from the free meals, the easy meals that they get with the abundance of game. But then they do struggle once the animals start to leave the area, with there being so many and a big concentration of lion prides. The pickings become a little bit slim. So it's nice when the huge numbers do move in, mainly for the lions, but for the elephants, not so much. So, Billy, you'd be absolutely right in assuming that this would be a perfect spot for predators to ambush. And I'm pretty sure that they do. But we'll have to just be lucky to be able to see that. At these hours of the day, I think it would most likely happen more so in the hours of darkness. So you can see the males or the stallions just trying to maintain their dominance within their harems, because this can be a tricky time for them when there's big groups together, because alternate stallions could steal their females and take them as part of their own harem. So they need to be on their toes to make sure that they keep all their girls. So this is a real wildlife spectacle, and it's always amazing just to see them in their pure wilderness state. And when there's large concentrations of them like this, and the behavior that happens between them as well, very interesting indeed. So, Cami G, your comment being around the markings on the zebra, they are fascinating and almost mesmerizing, especially when there's a lot of them like this. And you can actually understand how it does benefit them when, in terms of anti-predator behavior or evolved sort of colorations, etc. Because when they're in their natural state and in large numbers, like zebras should be, it must be very difficult for a predator to pick out one individual when you've got this hypnotizing array of stripes. So not only is it beneficial for thermoregulation and potentially even keeping flies away, which is another theory, I think also anti-predator is a big part of this black and white stripes. So Ed Durin, you reckon that giraffe's on the lookout while the zebra are drinking? I think he's got fed up now, though, and tired of waiting, and he's started to move off. So shame. The eland also waiting their turn, but there's just too many zebra.
Did you hear? The schools are out. Yep, it's time for the school holidays and WildEarth is celebrating with special content just for kids. Join us from the 21st to the 25th of August for 5 days of fun. Our guides will be taking on a number of survival tasks, and together we'll learn how to survive in the wilderness, build things, and have fun in the wild too. WildEarth Kids, it's in your nature.
So Wendy, yeah, the level of the waterhole does sort of go up and down. It depends on how many animals are drinking at the time. Now, obviously, elephants have the quite a big impact, but with there being so many zebra coming in, there's quite a big impact as well. However, it is topped up regularly, and I think the water level being low, it will probably be filling up as the day progresses. And it doesn't really get empty. It will just maintain a small water hole is all. So yes, rather a small water hole this, but you don't really need to have a big dam or a big water hole for the animals to drink. So they just maintain it as a small water hole, but it does keep on being topped up, so the animals won't run out of water. They just need to wait their turn. There's places in the Namib Desert where I've been, where they also have, artificially topped up water holes, but they're obviously, from groundwater, which is probably the same here. But when the desert elephants arrive, and I'm thinking of one spot, particularly at Hobatere, which is on the western side of the Etosha National Park. And when the elephants arrive, they can finish the waterhole within a couple of hours. And so they often need to send out the maintenance team to go and get the pumps going immediately after the elephants have arrived, because they literally suck the dam dry within a couple of hours and then move off. And then there's no water for the other animals. So it's quite a job for the maintenance team, but interesting to note how much water elephants can take in a very short space of time. Okay, so a wonderful array of stripes here at the Africam Old Donyo in Kenya, but we've got so much to do and so little time. So I think it's time to change of place, and this time let's go also in the Madikwe Game Reserve, but north of where Jamala is. Let's go to Africam Tau. Where we have a lovely view on the Dwarsberg in the background there, and our resident crocodiles are just out of the water in the foreground. They were out yesterday as well, but they were on the bank on the right hand side, and a nice group of blue wildebeest that seemingly have already drunk, and now they're heading to maybe do a bit of dust bathing, which they like to do, rolling around in the dust, just like zebra as well. They do seem to spend a lot of time in this area ruminating and dust bathing. There's an African spoonbill foraging in the water. It's just taken to flight there a little bit, but he's busy, as well as a grey heron. And it was interesting to note that, I've seen spoonbills doing this kind of behavior a lot, hunting, feeding, but generally I think that they only take in quite small animals when they do feed, because I was sitting at the Kariga Game Reserve next to the waterhole as the photo naturalist for months on end, and I watched an African spoonbill actually get a hold of a platana, or a frog, but it was rather large, and it sat there for hours trying to swallow this frog down, and it eventually gave up and left, unfortunately, the dead frog lying there, and a grey heron walked on over and took that and swallowed it down immediately. But it just goes to show that the spoonbill is not able to swallow very big food items. And a frog, even that it's not that big of a food item, it was too big for the spoonbill. A red hartebeest, all on its own, just having a drink there. And the crocodiles lying with mouths open does indicate that it's rather warm and they've got sufficient energy from the sun. So that's assisting in thermoregulating and releasing any excess heat that they may have. So you can see the different strategies from those two different birds. The grey heron is an ambush hunter and waits, is very patient and stands deadly still until there's something within range and then stabs it. Whereas the spoonbill, more of an active hunter and moving around as it forages. Number of springbok just dotted off in the background there as well. So the majority of the food source for crocodiles is generally catfish, but they'll also be taking out some antelope as well. Now, it has got a little bit quiet here once again, so let's change of place once more. And I think this time let's head into the Greater Kruger area. So we're heading east from where we are here at Madikwe, but let's go to King's Camp. Where we've got some pachyderms, Loxodonta africana, fantastic elephants at the Waterhole, always lovely. Now, when I was watching the elephants at Djuma a little bit earlier, we do have a little bit of picture break up there, so sorry folks, we had to head back to Kenya at Old Donyo, the trusty old favorite. Now, regardless, I was going to chat about elephants because we were looking at them, and even though they aren't here now, I'm still going to go on with my train of thought because we'll probably have some elephants arrive here at some stage too. Now, when I was looking at those elephants at Djuma, they were dust bathing, and it just led me to think about if that would ever make elephants sneeze. Because imagine sucking up dust like that into your nose and then blowing it out again. I'm sure that it would make tickle the nasal passages and make an elephant want to sneeze, kind of like if we had to sniff pepper, surely. And so I just got scratching around and I found a blog on Sunny Sports. And it goes like this: why do elephants have trunks? Because they'd look silly carrying suitcases. All kidding aside, an elephant's trunk is essentially a big nose, right? Of course, the average human can't pick up food with their nose. Elephants are majestic, tremendous animals roaming the savannah in their stately herds. Their unusual anatomy makes them fascinating to watch, but with that long and distinctive trunk, how do elephants sneeze? All mammals sneeze, and pretty much for the same reason we might. Something irritating the nasal passages, dust, or other debris tickling your nose. Now imagine that same sensation along the entire length of your body, about the length of the average elephant trunk. Mammals cough and sneeze through their nasal passages, and in elephants, these passages run the length of their trunk, making elephants sneeze quite the explosive event. Also, like humans, elephants breathe while they chew, something unique to mammals. This means that irritants can enter their nasal passages from inside the mouth as well. Ever laugh while drinking and end up with your beverage coming out your nose? Ouch, probably not a pleasant feeling for an elephant at all. Cats, dogs, baby pandas, they all sneeze, sometimes to our amusement, and just like people, sneezes are triggered by the tiny hairs in the nose. Irritants enter the nose and the body reacts, sending them back out the same way they came in. Even fish have been known to sneeze, expelling sand or other clogging irritants from their gills with a blast of air. Marine mammals like whales and dolphins are essentially sneezing when they shoot water from their blowholes. So next time you're watching that wildlife documentary, wandering your local zoo, or even bounding through the bush in an off-road vehicle, keep an eye out for those pleasing pachyderms. But be on your toes. You never know when you might have to say, Gesundheit, Jumbo. I did see what I think was a Grant's gazelle just moving on its own in the background.
Did you know that the WildEarth team makes weekly behind the safari content? Would you like to get to know the WildEarth family better? See how we live.
This is Igor's bedroom.
Learn about our production process. And see the antics that happen off camera. Sign up to be an explorer and you will get access to all this content and more.
Now, also, just remember that the period that we're in is a part of the time for the Great Migration in Tanzania and Kenya, and it's one of the most sought-after experiences for wildlife and nature enthusiasts. And the Great Migration is the ever-moving circular migration of over 1 million animals across the Serengeti Mara ecosystem. The constant movement of columns of wildebeest and zebra, joined by a host of other companions, particularly the gazelle, as an elephant now makes its way on into the scene. And they follow an age-old route in search of grazing and water. After calving in the southern part of Tanzania's Serengeti near the Ngorongoro Conservation Area, the animals journey through the Serengeti up and around in a clockwise direction towards the Masai Mara in Kenya before returning once again near the end of the year. And along the way, obviously, high drama is always present as thousands of animals are taken by predators and thousands more are born, replenishing the numbers and sustaining the circle of life. So you can see, as I said, that elephant has arrived, but it looks like he's also just a bit worried about the concentration of animals here. But the zebra have backed off a little bit, and I think the elephant won't be too worried. Oh, that's what he was concerned with, another big bull arriving. So who knows, maybe these guys are going to take over the waterhole altogether. So it's two bulls of very similar size, although I think the one on the right does seem to be slightly dominant. Just the way that he entered into this area, and the other one backing off a little bit. Lenny, you're very welcome about the info on the Mara Serengeti systems and the migration of the animals themselves. It's an amazing time right now, and there would be an influx of tourists to go and witness, particularly the crossings when the animals actually have to brave the Mara River with massive crocodiles waiting for them as they cross, and they just pick them off almost at will. And the lions then waiting on the opposite bank once they cross and evade the jaws of crocodiles. Well, they've got the lions to worry about on the other side too. So there's a lot of zebra, wildebeest, gazelle that get taken out by the lions and the crocodiles. And a lot of them drown too. I would say the majority of deaths is actually down to drowning when the animals pick a spot that is not great for crossing, and especially if the river has swollen, which it normally has at the time of the migration. So you have massive amounts of die-off from that, and there can be areas where there's mountains of animals on the berm of a river piled up and just rotting carcasses. But each year that happens, but there's still the replenishment of all the new born that replaces all those ones that have died. So even though it is very sad to see the amount of animals that do drown and get taken out by crocodiles and lions, it's all replaced. And so that circle of life we were talking about does go full circle. So, William, the camera angle that we do have on these elephants is really, showing elephants how big they normally are. These are particularly big bulls, though, and particularly big tusks as well. I'm not sure if this is the one that they call 1 ton, because he is known to have massive tusks, but one is broken. So I wouldn't be able to tell you if it or confirm that that is him. But in general, you can see that all these elephant bulls in particular that arrive have got huge tusks, which is not normal across all the different elephant populations. You do have some that will have big tusks, but not as many as we see in general here. But these are sort of, decent sized bulls, but it is the angle that's also make them look bigger than we think. But with the other angles, they make the elephants look smaller than they actually are. So this for me is more indicative of their real size, because we're looking up on them, and that's what you would be doing if you were on foot as well. So from my impression, this is the best angle to view elephants. The other, looking down, you don't quite get that perspective of their size.
Stay up to date with the latest happenings at WildEarth. Discover what goes on behind the scenes and get a weekly recap of the best moments on the channel.
He's got it! And he's straight up a tree!
Sign up to be an explorer and receive our newsletter written just for you and sent straight to your inbox every week. WildEarth Explorers, a club for people who are passionate about nature.
Thank you for joining us and have a fantastic morning.
So our mission here at WildEarth is to connect the world with nature. And if you'd like to help us in our quest, you can go onto the WildEarth website and click donate. Now there's a very interesting stripe pattern on this zebra that's in the foreground here on the right hand side. Look up on its back. It's almost like an artist has gotten involved there in drawing a little bit different to what you would normally see. That's very interesting, but very pretty as well. So, just touching on the subject of the stripes on zebra, once again, I like scratching around for different information, something unique. And I found something on Africa Freak with a blog that they have on how do zebras get their stripes. Encountering a zebra herd is one of Africa's most iconic experiences. These magnificent animals stand out from the grass and a mass of black and white stripes framed against the wilderness. But underneath these black and white stripes, zebra look just like horses. I would say more like donkeys. They have black tan skin, and it's only their fur that is striped. Zebras start with white fur. Special skin cells transfer the black pigmentation from their skin, therefore making the stripes. This is a similar process to other African mammals. African cheetahs only have spots on their fur, but tigers, not from Africa, have striped skin. All giraffe have the same light tan, yet every giraffe species has different patterns on its coat. You can observe this in foals. Young zebra do not have black and white stripes, but soft brown markings instead. Basically, the skin pigmentation only fully transfers when a zebra reaches 18 to 24 months. Zebras split from horses 3 million years ago. The two species remain so similar that they can even breed together. But once again, I say more so with donkeys, because I've even witnessed in Namibia lots of crossbreeding of zebra and donkeys, and then they call them zonkies. Now, skin pigmentation can explain how each zebra gets its stripes, but how did they evolve to have stripes in the first place? We could go into a rich scientific explanation concerning evolution, including the theory that striped horses appeared more than once throughout mammal history. However, the best explanation is a tale told around the campfire by the San Bushmen of Namibia's Kalahari. After all, scientists can claim all they want, but it is the San people who have spent their lives living side by side with zebras. A long time ago, deep in the Kalahari, a boisterous baboon guarded the last remaining waterhole. He said he was the lord of the water and forbade every other animal from drinking. A thirsty, pure white zebra decided to fight the baboon so his herd could drink. With one mighty kick, he sent the baboon flying onto the rocks. The baboon landed on his bum with such vigor it ripped the hair clean off. Baboons have since had bald bums. The victorious zebra was too exhausted to think about his victory and fell backward over the baboon's fire. This scorched him with black burned stripes. The shock of the burn sent him galloping onto the savannah where the zebra would stay forever. The baboon stayed high on the rocks and continued to be boisterous, but could only bark at strangers from up high. That's a very interesting story. I love it. Now, zebra stripe facts and different species and their stripes. So before considering different scientific theories, it's important to understand that not all zebras are the same. And we have the plain zebra, the Birchall zebra, obviously, as I've mentioned, with their stripes meeting all the way on their stomach. And then we get the mountain zebras where it doesn't. And they're more vulnerable. They, from their habitat destruction, we get the Cape Mountain zebra and the Hartmann's mountain zebra in Namibia, but also the Grevy's zebra, and they're one of the rarest sights on an African safari. They're only confined to small areas of Tanzania and Kenya, but these are the largest zebra and have the most tightly packed stripes. Their body shapes resemble a mule rather than a horse. And while no two zebras have identical stripes, all zebra species do indeed have stripes. The patterns are, however, different between the three different types of zebra, as I've explained. So interesting info on the differences between them, as well as a wonderful story by the San people on why the elephants have stripes and why baboons have no hair on their bum and why they also bark at people from up in the rocks. So, and also delving a little bit into what I was saying. But wonderful to just chat about all the stripes and so on, especially when we're looking at an animal that's present on the screens. So, but we'll continue to do that with all the different animals. And if you want to approach a topic or discuss any ecological principles or whatever it might be, just send that question through and I'll delve into it. Now that we've discussed that, I think it's time to change of place and let's head back to the Madikwe Game Reserve and Africam Tau. Doing a little bit more birding, and there we have a black-winged stilt, different to the pied avocet that we saw at Kamfersdam, just outside of Kimberley. It's more of a straighter bill, and he's got very red legs, whereas the pied avocet has got an upturned bill. You can see it's quite a similar tactic or movement that we're seeing here from the stilt that we saw with the African spoonbill. Obviously the bird is much smaller and would most likely only be able to take very small little food items, little invertebrates that it's getting in and around the mud. I would say that even though the eye is going in under the water, and they've probably got that third eyelid that would protect the eye when it does put its head under the water, I don't think that they're hunting by sight, more by feel as they move the head backwards and forwards. So, leopard lover, I'm glad you like the Bushman tales. For me, they are the people I always look to, because they've been in the bush and living side by side in the wilderness with the animals for thousands of years. And I think a lot of the stories have been lost. So, whenever I do find one on the wonderful matrix that is the interwebs, I like to bring it out. So I'm always looking for different and new Khoisan stories. They are my heroes. This black-winged stilt is busy. Hopefully going to get in quite a bit of food. It'll be able to sustain itself. And the ever motionless crocodile in the foreground. You can understand why animals almost forget that they're there, and then just one day they decide it's the time to hunt. And then they do catch animals very easily from that position if anything strays too close. There's also some white-faced whistling ducks just in the middle of the screen, but there we're going to go and have a look at those springbok. Semi-arid here, it's a perfect environment for springbok. Quite similar to the Etosha National Park. They appreciate more dry, semi-arid to arid conditions. And right on the bottom right of the screen, I thought it was actually a ground squirrel, but now I see that it looks like it's a South African shell duck. Just the way it was standing like that, I thought in fact it was, but it's not. And the white-faced whistling ducks, you generally see them in large numbers, not normally less than 4 or so of them. This seems like a small little group of them. I wonder there might be more around somewhere where we're not seeing.
Get ready for your daily dose of African wildlife magic. Be enchanted by the intimate moments shared by the animals as they drink, play, and interact in their natural habitat. With our daily wildlife videos, you'll experience the thrill of safari adventures without ever having to leave your seat. Let the wild adventure unfold right before your eyes. Africam, always live, always wild.
I might be mistaken. Those might also be moor hens. I think with a white stripe there in the back. If you look, there's a tiny little bird on the bank on the right hand side. That's the three-banded plover. This spotted African towel definitely is a good spot for birding, I must say. Red-billed teals or Cape teals, one of the other. You can see a dust devil just moving through there in the background, obviously showing that it is heating up and there is quite a bit of wind around. There's a red-knobbed coot with the white sort of coming down its forehead, and it's just foraging almost in the middle of the screen. There's another one off to the left as well, probably a pair. A hammerkop off to the left as well, just gone out of view. There he is. It's just moving through the grass there, just on the edge of the water. There comes his head, a typical hammerhead shape. One of the most impressive nests of all the birds as the hammerkop, made out of a mixture of mud and reeds and flotsam and jetsam and all sorts, and they've got a false entrance, but it's a massive cavity on the inside of this mud nest that they build. And then you very often have large predatory birds nesting on the top of them, from vultures to eagles and owls and all sorts, because it creates a wonderful platform for them to do so. Now, something interesting about a hammerkop as well is that it is also known as the lightning bird. And the Kalahari Bushmen of the Khoisan traditionally believed that being hit by lightning was a direct result of trying to rob a hammerkop's nest. So don't do that, you're going to be struck by lightning. Now, when we say that the Hammerkop builds the largest of all the African birds' nests, that is solely by one pair, because obviously the largest nest builders in the world are sociable weavers, but they have multiple pairs that work together as a flock to build this condominium, that we like to call it, or hotel for the sociable weavers. But not so with the Hammerkops. It's just one pair that will build that massive nest. So they're the biggest or largest pair to build a nest, but they don't even come close to the sociable weavers as a group. So a little bit more on the Hammerkop as well. The nest is the source. The nest of them is the source of many of the myths surrounding the bird. The main chamber is 30 to 60 centimeters in diameter, with an approximately 50 centimeter tunnel leading out to the least accessible side of the nest. The shell of the nest is constantly added to and is made up of sticks, leaves, and even plastic if there's a lot of pollution around where they forage for building material. Some nests can weigh up to 200 kilograms and takes months to build. And the nest is often used by snakes, owls, monitor lizards, all creatures that are feared by many African people. And this adds to the beliefs surrounding the bird. And it's believed by some African people that if a Hammerkop flies over your home, the abode will be burnt down or bad luck will follow. It's also believed by some that if a Hammerkop calls in the evening, someone will pass away during the night. And the whitewater rafting guides on the Zambezi River will scream and shout and wave their arms when a Hammerkop approaches the rafts. This is to chase the bird from its flight path so that it does not fly over the rafts and bring bad luck. Farmers in parts of South Africa believe that if a Hammerkop flew upriver calling, then there would be good rains to follow. They feed predominantly on tadpoles and adult frogs, fish, and some insects. And they hunt, like this one, by moving through pools and stirring up mud with their feet. Lots of interesting things about the Hammerkop, and it's steeped in African myths and legends. So, leopard lover, you're going to get me thinking. Hammerkop, they are territorial, so they would generally not allow another Hammerkop here except for its pair or the other part of the pair. So, yes, that is one, and that's the first one we're looking at. The little ones, the little plovers that you see on the banks moving around, those three-banded plovers, they're also territorial. Oh, I think that Hammerkop just got something there. The red-knobbed coots as well as the dab chicks, they're very territorial. Some of them have smaller territories, but they won't like it when there's another pair that moves into specifically their hunting grounds. They don't allow that. And then for nesting as well, there can be lots of fighting between them. So that's another one. We know that secretary birds are very territorial as well, and they can have, it depends on where they are in terms of how big their territories are, but they can be up to about 50 kilometers squared. And that's mainly also for the hunting areas where they go looking for reptiles and rodents. So a lot of the predatory birds are territorial, whether it's eagles or hawks, and it's mainly down to that food resource that they don't want to have competition within the areas that they hunt. So I don't generally take kindly to other breeding pairs moving in and nesting and hunting in the same area as them. You'll also have the likes of little pygmy falcon, because I was speaking of the largest nest builders in the world. They will move in and take over a nest on the sociable weavers' nests, and you can often notice that they're there because they make a sort of mud lining on the inside of the nest itself. So you can always know if there is a pygmy falcon present in a sociable weaver's nest. You can look for, because all the entrances are below at the bottom of the nest itself. And you can see then where there's one with, in Etosha, it's very easy because you can see that white mud. But in other areas, the mud color would be different. But you can still see where there's mud around the entrance of one of the sociable weavers' nests. Then there's a pygmy falcon that is present, and it will only be one because they're territorial. That pair won't allow another pair to come and nest in that greater sociable weaver's nest as well. But then you look at the likes of the eastern red-footed falcon or the now Amur falcon. They're not territorial. I'm not quite sure on their nesting, but definitely when they feed, they all flock together, coming across from China. And when you have the alates or the flying termites coming out, you see them feeding in their hundreds sometimes. And they also migrate together as big flocks. So I'm not sure about their nesting, but in general, there's always the oddball. But generally, predatory birds are highly territorial. And as I say, it's all about those resources and protecting that for the pairs.
Chatting around a fire is an ancient practice that has connected humanity for centuries, and we want to keep it alive in our modern age. As an explorer, you'll have access to intimate gatherings with our naturalists, fascinating guests, and experts where we share knowledge, insights, and stories around a crackling fire. Rediscover the power of connection. Sign up to be an explorer today and experience the magic of WildEarth's Fireside Chats.
So I think this hammerkop is being successful in whatever it is hunting there, but whatever it is getting is very small. It's either tadpoles or tiny little fish. I think he might have been standing there so long now, it looks like he's falling asleep. Now, something a little bit interesting as well is that there hasn't been much study done on hammerkops. And so the fortress of the nest that they built, or that they build, is to date poorly understood. So surprisingly, however, in spite of the labor-intensive nature of building such a structure, hammerkops are relentless carpenters. They tend to form long-term pair bonds, and on average, each pair will construct 3 to 5 of such nests in a given year. In one study, a single pair of hammerkops constructed 11 nests in 4.5 years. They moved regularly between 2 old nests, and their 11 new ones in that same span of time relocated a total of 17 times. This behavior is also not well understood. And with such a hectic and relentless pace of nest building, it may come as no surprise that hammerkops abandon many nests half built, and many of those they do complete, they never occupy. Which is not to say that nobody else does. Several bird species, ranging from barn owls to Egyptian geese, are known to take up residence in hammerkop nests. Other common squatters include genets, monitor lizards, mongoose, a whole variety of snakes, including spitting cobras or mfezi, and swarms of bees. These sturdy nests can persist for years even without the regular maintenance of their original builders. Hammerkops are found across an immense range and are common throughout the entirety of sub-Saharan Africa and Madagascar. They don't seem too concerned about the overall environment, whether tropical forest, scrubby grassland, or semi-desert, so long as there's a shallow water source nearby. Hammerkop is an avid fisherman, as we're seeing here, and their diet consists almost entirely of fish, amphibians, shrimps, worms, insects, and perhaps even the occasional small mammal. So, Ali, you were saying that you think the hammerkop got bored. Yeah, I thought it was busy falling asleep there, but that's maybe part of its tactic, that the fish think that you're falling asleep, Billy. But you can see now, he's definitely not asleep. He's back in hunting mode.
Hi, my name is Claire. WildEarth has been part of this home for many years as it connects us to the bush and the culture that we love and miss so much. I became an explorer so that other people around the world can get to experience the African bush in this unique way as well. I am beyond excited that I was drawn to win the prize at Ambakala Game Reserve for 3 nights. It is truly a dream come true.
Sign up today and you could be the one experiencing it for yourself.
Righty, so I don't know if you noticed, but the hammerkop nearly got blown over by the wind. But lovely time spent with this bird. You don't often get to spend time with hammerkops. So, that being said, I think it's time to go back to Kenya and Africam Old Donyo. Where we've still got lots of action here at this waterhole. Looks like there's a few more eland that have entered the fray and now seemingly outnumbering the zebra. So they can get a chance to drink now too. Giraffe's still waiting its turn. They always seem to get the last straw, or the shortest straw at least. Well, looks like a couple of bulls having a go at each other there. Oh, at least the fringe-eared oryx has also managed to get itself in there and get a drink just off on the left. And a bit of a closer view in on them. Yes, I'm glad the eland are now taking charge. Zebra, you've had your turn. Oh, another big elephant bull gonna come in for a drink as well. Is it? No, this is a different one. Both tusks still intact. And another one. Fabulous. Always nice to have these big guys around. So fabulous having these two big tuskers here, mixing in with the big numbers of zebra and eland, as well as the odd oryx. But let's go and see if we can see the more common of the oryx and compare the two. And we'll have to do that by heading to the Tosha National Park and Okukuyu. Where we're not going to see any oryx just yet, but a nice big herd of elephants as well. Now, it does seem to be that it's very hazy. It's a Namibian desert storm. The east weather is pretty strong today, and that's why you'll see that haze in the background. This is typical of this time of the year, and it looks like today it's particularly strong.
Those sounds just go straight through you.
I think this might in fact be a couple of separate herds that have joined here at the Waterhole. And maybe they're also coming down because of all the dust present in the air. I'm sure there might be a bit of sneezing going on, like we discussed earlier, because when this east wind blows and howls here in Etosha, it's obviously picking up a lot of that dust that is in the Etosha pan itself. And now that's obviously all airborne, and that's why you can see the haze in the background. And it's all caused by the wind coming across and going over the Etosha pan. And now it's in the sky. So Dylan, elephants are very similar to humans in many ways, and they're quite similar to us in that they sort of get to their full maturity in their 20s, and that's when they would generally stop growing. Each individual obviously is different. Some of them grow quicker than others grow slower, but generally you would say once they're at about 25 years or so, that's when they would not really be growing any taller. With the bulls, there will still be quite a bit of filling out to do, but it is similar to that of humans. So yeah, the females, the cows, once they reach 25 years or so, they won't really get much bigger than that. It's just the bulls that I think just gain in muscles from there. Maybe a little bit of growth in the head as well, and obviously the tusks that will continue growing, but you know, those are just modified teeth, so it's understandable there. But the general size of the animal will be already determined by that age or so. So for any viewers that have just joined us, hello and welcome to Live at the Waterhole, where we're currently now in the Etosha National Park of Namibia at the Okukuyu Waterhole. Very famous spot this, and most, if not all, visitors to Namibia have this on their hit list and bucket list. So it's a fantastic waterhole to view, and particularly remotely, that we can jump and use this as one of our particular spots. That's not the only waterhole we have. We have all sorts of other ones, including the Africam dam cameras, and we've been at Africam Tau in the Madikwe Game Reserve. We were briefly at Jamala, but we had a little bit of technical difficulties there, so I couldn't spend too much time in that spot. At Tau, we were doing quite a bit of birding, and there's lots of crocodiles around as well. And we saw some springbok there, obviously springbok here too. The majority of the time, though, has been spent at the very busy Old Donyo Africam dam camera, and that's in Kenya, with the Mount Kilimanjaro in the background. Unfortunately, too many clouds today to be seen. But as always, please don't forget that this is a live and interactive experience, so we'd love for you to jump on board with us and send us through your questions and your comments. You can do that by going on the WildEarth website and registering. Of course, I forgot to mention Kamfersdam, just outside of Kimberley, where we have also been watching the lesser and greater flamingos there, seemingly increasing in numbers as they start to head towards the breeding season. and we can expect tens of thousands of them to be there in the next little while. So it's going to be interesting to see every day when we go back if there's more and more flamingos. I already think that they have increased in numbers, but I don't think there's 50,000 of them there yet. I'm sure there's lots more to come. And we were also at the Djuma Waterhole in the Sabi Sands of the Greater Kruger National Park, where it seems like the theme of elephants continued, and there was a lovely herd that came down to drink there too. It seems these herds are slowly moving off on what I call the yellow brick road, going round the waterhole and off in a westerly direction, straight towards the coast there, but also towards the tree line and good feeding grounds. A little youngster still suckling from mom here in the foreground, so they might be a little bit slower than the rest, but I'm sure they'll catch up. I'm sure that wherever you are in the world, there's some kind of notorious wind that you've got in the country that you reside or know of. In South Africa, it's berg winds that come down sort of from the Highveld across the Drakensberg and then down towards the coast. Very hot wind also occurring in winter. Here in Namibia, obviously on the southwestern side of Africa, southwestern tip of Africa, and so the sort of inland altitude is it drops off down in a westerly direction, where obviously in South Africa it does it both ways, with us being on the tip of Africa. But the notorious winds here in Namibia is the east wind, so blowing from the east towards the coast down, and dropping with altitude and heating up as it goes across the desert. And I know in France they have what they call le Mistral, which is also a kind of berg wind and similar in nature, but it can be extremely strong as well and notorious for its strength. So if you've got a particular dominant wind in your country, let us know. We'd love to hear it. Righty, so I'm all for new and fresh and different. So we're going to change of place and leave this desert storm as the elephants disappear off into the haze. And we're going to do exactly the same, but we're going to go to a new waterhole for me, and this time it's in Zimbabwe and Tembo Plains. Where we've got a lovely pod of hippos out of the water. Looks like they're catching a tan. So, unfortunately, a very brief, quick visit at Tembo Plains in Zimbabwe, but I'm sure that we'll get going back there as soon as possible. Nice first little glimpse. That's the first time for me, but I'm sure we'll get it right and we'll be able to spend more time there. Anyway, back to Oldonyo in Kenya, where it looks like the zebra are, I don't know, are they having a snooze, just enjoying being next to the water? It's like they've pulled up their sun chairs and enjoying just the atmosphere, while the elephant bulls obviously trying to have a drink while that happens.
Do you love relaxing at a waterhole with the sights and sounds of Africa all around you? Well, we have some really exciting news for you. From August 1st, Africam is joining forces with WildEarth to bring the majesty of Africa right into your living room with 9 incredible new waterhole cameras from across South Africa and Kenya. Get ready to embark on a new journey. This is Live at the Waterhole.
So it's quite interesting to note that you can see these elephants are quite used to having large numbers of zebra around. And so there's quite a high level of tolerance. And you can also feel that the zebra do understand that when they do have those numbers, they can literally dominate a waterhole, because you wouldn't see this in the other locations, that the zebra all gang up, increase in numbers, and then push literally everything out of the water area, including the elephants. Whereas the likes of Okukuyu and in the greater Kruger area, and anywhere else, you will notice when elephants come down, they will chase the other animals away if they get in the way, or if they want to drink. There's nobody that's going to stop them. However, here it's slightly different, where even massive bulls like this will take a step backwards and wait for the zebra to finish before moving in. It's astounding. Righty, so once again, always fascinating and impressive here at Old Donyo in Kenya. But I think it's time to go and have another look at those flamingos just outside of Kimberley. Where they've all seemingly now woken up and getting their day underway. The late risers are especially the lesser flamingos, and you can see what I mean now in that the numbers have definitely increased over the last few days. Just taking a quick scan around to see if there's any others anywhere else, but it seems like they've all joined up here on this particular side of the waterhole. Now look at that. Where do you concentrate your eyes? It's a difficult thing to do. And you can also see now, with them being active, you'll see a lot more pink, and especially when they open their wings. Yes, it does all seem a little bit crazy, but it is a truly spectacular scene, I must add. So, Eric, the bunching up is, like the saying goes, birds of a feather flock together. It's better for them to all be together from a safety perspective in terms of predators or whatnot, because like a group of impala all bunching up together, it does help for having more eyes and ears close together that you can pick up when there's any predators around. So I would say it's a bit of an anti-predator behavior. And we've got two species mixed in here, the lesser flamingos and the greater flamingos. So that definitely then does add to that theory of it being for anti-predator reasons. As well as where they do move around and they foraging for food, it does help that there's more of them shifting up and moving the mud around so that they can pick up on the shrimps and algae, etc.
Did you hear? The schools are out. Yep, it's time for the school holidays, and WildEarth is celebrating with special content just for kids. Join us from the 21st to the 25th of August for 5 days of fun. Our guides will be taking on a number of survival tasks, and together we'll learn how to survive in the wilderness, build things, and have fun in the wild too. WildEarth Kids, it's in your nature.
So, wonderful time once again spent here with these flamingos here at Kamfersdam, just outside of Kimberley, and the numbers increasing, I think, probably daily. So we'll have to come back and keep on coming back here daily to see if these flamingos can completely fill this waterhole. Going to be interesting times ahead. Anyway, with that being said, I think it's time to head back to Kenya and Africam Old Donyo. Where we still have our two big elephant bulls getting into the waterhole. They are taking on their water with the milling zebra. They don't seem to want to leave. Eland now trying to push their way in as well. So I think it's been another fascinating time spent at all of these different waterholes and locations that we are able to jump around between. Obviously try our best to go where there's the most action, but also spread it around a little bit and see the different spots. And today I definitely think that the elephants have stolen the show, as they were here from the start until the end. Not these exact bulls, but across the different spots that we have gone to. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, but suppose you get that on the big jobs. Well, for the rest of it, it's been wonderful. So thank you for joining us. We're slowly heading towards the end of the show. Obviously, don't forget that later on this afternoon, 2:30 to be exact, there will be the sunset safari and the guys and the naturalists driving out and seeing what they can find and chatting about all sorts. So don't miss that. And then obviously tomorrow morning at 6:30 there will be the sunrise safari, and then we'll be right here again tomorrow at 9:30 until 12:30. So the bonus is we're ending the show, but we get to do it all again tomorrow. So please join us and stay tuned for all of that. And as always, we've got to say thanks to the wildlife, particularly the elephants today, for being the stars of the show, and of course to you the viewers for joining us, and the whole WildEarth crew for making this all possible, as well as the Africam, because of those new locations that we can also jump to. It's just really added a new dimension to the show overall. So that's it from me for now, folks. My name's Ralph Kirsten. Cheers.